right, ladies and gentlemen, the Disabled American Veterans Chapter 20 of Lorain, Ohio will be doing our flag raising today with Sam Felton raising the flag of the United States of America. Sam is the holder of the Navy Cross for Vietnam. The Ohio State flag will be raised by Lorain High School Army JROTC First Sergeant Sam, and I'm going to butcher your last name here, Sam Obicha. And that will be followed by the Lorain High Marching Band under the direction of Tim Civic, playing our national anthem. Guests, please rise. Good afternoon. My name is Gary Fisher, and I have the honor of presenting the program today. We're here today to dedicate this site in the honor of the memory of Admiral Ernest J. King. Ernest J. King grew up across the street from where we are standing in a modest home in this small harbor town. After graduating from Lorain High School, Ernest King left Lorain with a round-trip train ticket in his pocket provided by his father, just in case he didn't like the Naval Academy. However, standing here today, we only have to look towards the lake and understand how a young man could be drawn to the U.S. Navy. After his graduation from the U.S. Naval Academy, Ernest King's tours of duty spanned the globe during times of peace and war. He served and commanded numerous ships and aircraft from the Spanish-American War through the end of the Second World War. Incidentally, he carried the train ticket with him for many years. Like many men, he answered the call of his nation. A number of those servicemen are here today, including veterans from the Second World War, Korean War, Vietnam War, Desert Storm, and other conflicts. We should remember that we are all able to be here today because of the personal sacrifices of men like Admiral King and other veterans, living and dead, who answered the call of our nation. It is an honor and a privilege to have worked with the committee to bring this modest memorial to reality. Without further ado, I have the privilege of introducing the honored guests, the members of the King family, many of whom are here today, as well as all of the other dignitaries. We have with us today Edgerton Vandenberg, grandson, and his wife Nancy, Eleanor Savage, granddaughter, and her husband Lynn, Elizabeth Western, granddaughter, and her husband Joe, Martha Slaughter, granddaughter, and her husband H.D. Slaughter, Tom Savage, great-grandson, and wife Lisa, and Zach Savage, great-great-grandson of Admiral King. James Robert King, great-nephew, and his wife Peggy, Deborah King, great-niece. The King family members who are not able to attend are Margaret Vandenberg, who is a granddaughter, and Colonel Frederick Smith III, who is a grandson. Our guests today include Jay DeLoach, Rear Admiral of the U.S. Navy, retired, Director of Naval History for the Naval History Heritage Command, Adam J. Bowie, United States Navy, Chief Aviation Structural Mechanic, Aviation Warfare, Officer Training Command, Newport, Rhode Island. Mr. Mark Donovan, the USS King Association board member, membership director, and wife Jody. Unable to attend were USS King Association President Paul Morrison. I'd now like to introduce Reverend Donahue, who will give us an opening prayer.
Thank you, Gary. We begin our prayers today by reading from the Song and Service Book for Ship and Field, Army, Navy, 1941 edition. We'll read a call to worship, the Midshipman's Prayer, and then our blessing for this day. Hear now these words. O come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker, for he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture, the sheep of his hand. We pray this prayer, the prayer of a midshipman. Almighty Father, whose way is in the sea and whose paths are the great waters, whose command is over all and whose love never faileth, let me be aware of thy presence and obedient to thy will. Keep me true to my best self, guarding me against dishonesty in purpose and in deed, and helping to live so that I can stand unashamed and unafraid before my shipmates, my loved ones, and thee. Protect those in whose love I live. Give me the will to do the work of a man, and to accept my share of the responsibilities with a strong heart and a cheerful mind. Make me considerate of those entrusted to my leadership and faithful to the duties my country has entrusted to me. Let my uniform remind me daily of the traditions of the service of which I am a part. If I am inclined to doubt, steady my faith. If I am tempted, make me strong to resist. If I should miss the mark, give me courage to try again. Guide me with the light of truth and keep me before the light of him by whose example and help I trust to obtain the answer to my prayer, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Hear now this blessing for this site. Eternal God of the nations, we ask your blessing rest upon this green space dedicated this day. May the memory of the man who it honors and the memory of his impact upon our nation, the world, and this community never fade from us. May all who use and enjoy this space find it to be a place of peace and rest in this chaotic world. But also, may it be an abiding symbol of the willingness of a leader to do what was required in times of chaos and evil. We give thanks this day for all who had the vision for this space and for the many willing hands and hearts who made it a reality. Grant, O Lord, that this might become one of the thin spaces where heaven and earth touch and your presence is recognized as is reflected in the life and leadership of Fleet Admiral King. These things we humbly pray in the name of the Holy Trinity, Creator, Redeemer, Sustainer God. Amen and amen.
I would now like to introduce Honorable Mayor Anthony Krushenko.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank all of you for being here today. I'd like to offer a tremendous heartfelt thank you to all who helped imagine, plan, and construct this tribute to honor Admiral Ernest J. King, and especially to the King family for being with us this weekend, sharing your stories and your memories. We share with you the pride of the amazing man we pay tribute to today. It's with great pride as the mayor of Lorain to see our community rally each other to pay tribute to one of our own, whose humble beginnings in Lorain, zenith as Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Fleet and Chief of Naval Operations during World War II, the only person to hold both positions. His contributions changed the future of our country and the world. Proudly, almost 25 years ago, I walked the halls of Admiral King High School, daily walking past the bronze sculpture of Admiral King. I was proud to be an admiral, with the name of King on my jersey, but not fully realizing the greatness of the man I represented. Today we pay tribute to his history, and with the elementary school, we look to our future. But we only need to look to the greatness of our past to see the promise of our future. It is our time to embrace it and celebrate, to help inspire future generations and to provide hope of tomorrow. I ask all of you to continue to keep our history and our future alive. Continue making Lorain a great city. Thank all of you for being here today to pay this tribute, and God bless.
Thank you, Mayor. It is now my pleasure to introduce Rear Admiral J. DeLoach, Director of the Naval History and Heritage Command, Washington, D.C., who will be our keynote speaker.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, and members of the King family. I'll tell you, I'm standing right here with goosebumps. I cannot tell you how satisfying it is to be here in front of a great naval hero, the birthplace of Fleet Admiral Ernest King. And last night, when we had dinner together, and again, telling those stories, I was in awe, I was honored, and I was humbled. And this park, as the mayor said, represents a coming together of the community to pay tribute to one of Lorain's sons, who made such an amazing impact, not only on this nation, but the world, at a tumultuous time in the globe, when conflict, 2 wars, 2 major oceans, against all odds. And he was the critical and pivotal point of leading us to victory. But this park would not have come together without many people helping. The Black River Historical Society, a Charleston Village Society, City of Lorain, the Utilities Company, countless others. But probably most notably is one of the driving forces, and that is Miss Lorain Ritchie. And I'll dub her now Lady Lorain. Ernest King was an incredibly unique and dynamic leader because he was qualified and commanded surface ships, submarines, and aircraft. So he served on top of the water, under the water, and over the water. He was a triple threat. And he coupled his operational skills with education. He became a lifelong learner. He had an immense intellect, strategic thinking, and he was an ardent student of military history. But at the start of America's entry into World War II, President Roosevelt could not have picked a better leader for the job to craft and implement a strategy to fight and win a 2-ocean war. Now, former Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Elmo Zumwalt, who was CNO during the 1970s, tried to characterize King as a combination of 3 individuals. That direct combat leader that served in the Civil War, Admiral David Farragut, who said, "Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead," to the strategic intellect of Captain Alfred Theo Mahan, and the irascible temperament of General George Patton. But this nation, this Navy, needed that hard-nosed strength of character, of leadership, and King brought it. And we won. Well, let me put it in some context here. During World War II, this nation put 18.2 million people in uniform, when this country's population was about 150 million. In the Navy, we had 3.5 million people in uniform, in the Navy alone, and thousands of warships, transports, logistics, oilers, tankers, to fight a two-ocean war. And we were fighting against a determined enemy that had fully mobilized their countries to fight against us. Today we have 400,000 personnel in uniform in the United States Navy and 285 ships. And we are fighting 2 wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Again, pales in comparison to the challenge that Fleet Admiral King underwent during those 4 years that he was the Chief of Naval Operations as well as the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Fleet. Yes, Fleet Admiral King was the right man for the job, and the United States Navy is very honored to be part of this tribute to his birthplace. And thank you to the City of Lorain and all the contributors that have made this tribute to his birthplace a reality. Thank you very much.
A little out of order on the program, but call it the fog of war. Now I have some remarks that were prepared by Edgerton Vandenberg, grandson of Admiral King, that I would like to read on his behalf. On Saturday, December 6, 1941, Admiral Ernest J. King was nearing retirement after 40 years of service in the U.S. Navy. He had served with Admiral Mays in the North Atlantic during World War I. While in his 40s, he became qualified as a submarine skipper and won his wings as a Navy pilot, and also served as superintendent of the Naval Academy. An advocate of naval air power, he commanded the Navy's Pacific Air Fleet in the 1930s, thereby gaining knowledge of the vast Pacific regions. Then came Pearl Harbor. 8 days later, Italy and Germany declared war on America. It was a perilous and challenging time for President Franklin Roosevelt and for all Americans and our allies. Amid this crisis, it became clear to the President that expansion and reorganization of our Navy were urgently needed. But who could lead these massive efforts and help the President to deploy our Navy forces so as best to serve our nation and our allies? He thought of several distinguished admirals and knew most of them quite well. He knew that King, while brilliant, decisive, and marvelously experienced, was also strong-willed and volatile. Perfect. Just 15 days after Pearl Harbor, the Congress and the President named Ernest J. King Commander-in-Chief of all United States fleets. This position, never in our history before or after, was held only by Admiral King. In March 1942, the Congress and President added King's duties the historic post of Chief of Naval Operations. Over the next 4 years, the Navy and American shipbuilders responded in a manner almost inconceivable then and now. New ships of all classes, transports, and warships were launched, manned, placed in service, and sent to battle over and under the oceans of the world. The honors brought to our Navy and the nation in those days were legendary and belonged to all those who served. Admiral King had another duty to perform. He was one of a small group of U.S. military and civilian leaders who traveled with and advised the President as he formulated overarching strategies for military action in North Africa, the Pacific region, Europe, and Southeast Asia. In that role, Admiral King frequently interacted with civilian and military leaders of England, France, nationalist China, Russia, and the United States. The President relied heavily on King in matters concerning the Pacific Theater. Most consider King to have been the principal architect of the Allies' strategy for defeating the Japanese naval forces and retaking Pacific territories. This role frequently placed Admiral King in opposition to the desires of other nations, especially England's desire to emphasize recapture of mainland Europe. King also supported that objective, but used the importance of applying a proper share of America's naval might to protecting Australia and New Zealand. To the sea war with Japan and to the retaking Pacific territories which had been seized by the Japanese. Predictably, King advanced his views with vigor and the full force of his knowledge and position. At the risk of being ridiculed and criticized, King tirelessly sought to ensure that America's security and future were duly considered. He simply did not regard being liked as part of his job. He would have liked his New York Times 1956 obituary, which concluded thusly: he was the man who could not be had. Admiral King's grandchildren, many of whom are here today, knew him to be a tender and caring grandfather. They wonder how he became all that he was, a young man who went straight from his high school to the U.S. Naval Academy and graduated second in his class. Where and how did he acquire his thirst for knowledge and his desire to succeed that lasted throughout his life? Who taught him so to love his country? His descendants wish me to say that much occurred right here in Lorain through his family, community, friends, the elementary and high schools which he attended and always remembered fondly, and they all thank you. And now, I'd like to introduce James R. King, great nephew.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and a privilege for the King family to be here with the citizens of Lorain. And please let me express on behalf of the grandchildren and other members of the family a very sincere thank you for all the hard work that was put together to conduct this amazing event. I'd like to give thanks to the Charleston Village Society, Renee Doré and Lorraine Ritchie, the Black River Historical Society, Frank and Carolyn Sipkovsky, to the City of Lorain, Mayor Tony Krashenko, Phil Doré, Joe Arant, the Lorain School System, Superintendent Ed Branham and Dan DiNicola staff and board, and the Lorain Port Authority, Director Novak and Chairman Brown. And thanks to the U.S. Navy for having Rear Admiral Deloach here and Chief Adam Bowie, who is standing over here. We thank the Navy for being here. I'll be brief, but I would like to read to you the prologue that's in Admiral King's autobiography that he wrote with Walter Muir Whitehead in 1952. And it was written there: in August 1947, a gold medal voted by Congress was presented to Admiral King. The medal bears on the obverse, the reverse, the portrait of the recipient, and on the reverse a charioteer driving a team of 3 horses, one of whom, a winged Pegasus, mounts to the skies, while another plunges into the depths. This allegory of the 3-pronged nature of naval warfare, in the skies, on the seas, and under the seas, had been set forth in another form in June 1946 by Lord Halifax, Chancellor of Oxford University, and admitting Admiral King to the honorary degree of Doctor of Civil Law, when Lord Halifax described him as nec glauci regno, nec Neptuni, nec ipsius, lovis, tonantus, intermerato, which means you have invaded alike the realms of Glaucus, of Neptune, and of Jove the Thunderer. Admiral King most certainly was a master of all phases of naval warfare, on, below, and over the seas. It is very fitting that this memorial is right here in Lorain, where Admiral King came on many occasions before and after he became famous, because he was concerned and sentimental about the people that were important to him, especially when he grew up, and that taught him as a young man. He often came to see the Cleveland Air Show and returned many times. And I think it's appropriate that we have another memorial right here in Ohio, right here in Lorain, very near to the memorial that we have over in Sandusky and Put-in-Bay, where almost 200 years ago, Commodore Perry fought the Battle of Lake Erie on a September day, close to today. And we, the King family, hope that the young students in the elementary school here in Lorain will learn to contrast the progression of the Navy, the fighting that was done on Lake Erie 200 years ago that involved muskets and cannonballs and small sailing ships sailing on Lake Erie, to contrast to that, to the Navy of Admiral King that developed during the 1920s and 30s, where we had wood deck carriers that would imagine biplanes flying onto wood deck carriers like the Lexington, which Admiral King commanded as captain during the early 1930s. And then contrast that to the Navy today. It is nothing short of magnificent what has occurred, and we hope the young students in the elementary school will make those connections. And again, from the King family, we thank you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you.
Next, it is my honor to introduce Leon Mason, who represents U.S. Senator Brown's office.
First, let me begin by saying not often do you find a Lorain High graduate happy to be speaking about Admiral King. This was our rival school, but I stand here before you today extremely proud. And to the students and young people here, a lot of history was made in Lorain. And if you take the time to go to the library, visit the Historical Society, you'll see that a lot of things began here and a lot of historical things took place. I'd like to start by reading a proclamation and donating a flag. It says, "The flag of the United States of America." This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the Capitol. This flag is to honor Fleet Admiral Ernest J. King at the dedications of the Lorain Admiral King Elementary School and the green space designated in his honor. A grateful nation thanks Admiral King for her service and sacrifice. Signed, Sherrod Brown, U.S. Senator. And this past Thursday, Senator Brown did a floor speech in commemoration of this event. I have a copy of the congressional record. I'll present a copy to the family, the Black River Historical Society, Charlton Village Society, and a copy for Lorain City Schools. So hopefully that the students who go through the hallways get an opportunity to read it, and again, understand that history was made here, and it will continue.
Next, I would like to introduce Gail Manning, State Senator.
Thank you for inviting me to part of this special event. With the recent recognition of the 10th anniversary of September 11th, many of us have paused to reflect upon those who have and continue to bravely serve our country. As demonstrated by his service in the Navy, Admiral King was a courageous leader. His legacy has and will continue to guide many generations to come. His grandson, said it best in the Lorain Journal that to put duty above himself, he learned in the city of Lorain. I am proud on behalf of myself and the other 32 state senators to present the Black River Historical Society and the Charleston Village Society, each with a Senate commendation recognizing this event. This site will be enjoyed for many years to come.
Please welcome State Representative Dan Ramos.
Thank you. It's truly an honor and a pleasure to be with you here today, and it's fitting, I think, to be for this park to be here across from Admiral King's home and to use the flagpole that was at the entrance of the shipyards, which was during King's time and during World War II converted into a Navy yard. building those same ships to ramp up our nation's fighting ability. And so many of our citizens, including my grandfather, were asked to serve and to build those ships. So I'm proud to be standing here next to this. So on behalf of myself and the members of the Ohio House of Representatives of the 129th General Assembly of Ohio, we are pleased to extend special recognition to the Charleston Village Society, the Black River Historical Society, and Lorain City Schools on the dedication of the Fleet Admiral Ernest J. King tribute today, September 18th, 2001. This memorable occasion is a fitting time to honor the Charleston Village Society, the Black River Historical Society, and the city and our schools for its efforts to preserve Ohio's history. A native of Lorain, the late Admiral Ernest J. King served as commander of the United States Navy during World War II, where he achieved a 5-star rank and memorial site, which includes a birthplace sign that was previously used to welcome drivers to our city, an anchor that was displayed at my alma mater, Admiral King High School, and the flagpole from the shipyards that I mentioned. It was built as a tribute to his legacy by the members of our society and our city, along with all of our other civic contributors. In this modern era, it is not only enlightening but also satisfying to discover that some representations of the past still stand for the future generations as record of and as a monument to previous achievements. We in the House are certain that in years to come, the Fleet Admiral Ernest J. King tribute will make positive contributions to the surrounding area while standing as an example of rich heritage of bygone days. Thus, it is with great pleasure that we congratulate the Charleston Village Society, the Black River Historical Society, our city and its schools on the dedication of the Fleet Admiral Ernest J. King tribute, and salute all of those participating on this noteworthy celebration. And this is signed by Speaker William G. Batchelder and myself, affixed with the seal of the House. Thank you.
Once again, I'd like to thank everyone who participated, not only, oh, I'm sorry, Ted Kalo, Lorain County Commissioner, excuse me.
That's okay.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Ted. I sat through it.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. And also, having been a graduate of Admiral King High School, sorry, Leon, you're outnumbered here. This is an honor to be here today. The participation from the community, again from the Charleston Village, which I was once a resident of, and the leadership of Lorain Ritchie and Frank and Carolyn Subkowski and their leadership with the Black River Historical Society, and everyone that participated in putting this memorial together. It shows you what a wonderful community we have here in Lorain, Ohio. And to our students behind us, this is a great history lesson. You can become anything you want to become coming out of the city of Lorain. We're fortunate enough that Admiral King still remembered that he came from Lorain and came back often, as the Rear Admiral mentioned. And his family still here today and joining us is quite a wonderful opportunity for us to get to know each other. We have a proclamation from the Board of Commissioners, and I won't read through all of it because it is quite lengthy, but it covers most of the comments that everyone made today. But whereas Ernest Joseph King was born in Lorain, Ohio on November 23, 1878, the son of James and Elizabeth, and where Ernest developed an early interest in a naval career and entered the U.S. Naval Academy. Whereas Admiral King served on USS San Francisco, flagship of the Northern Patrol Squadron, for which he received his first decoration during the Spanish-American War, and after graduation he served as a junior officer on the survey ship, the USS Eagle. And whereas Admiral King returned to shore duty at Annapolis in 1912, he received his first command, destroyer USS Terry, in 1914. Then moving on to a more modern ship, the USS Cassin. During World War I, he served on the staff of Vice Admiral Henry Mayo, the Commander-in-Chief. Whereas Admiral King became Chief of the Bureau of Aeronautics until 1936 and was promoted to Rear Admiral on April 26, 1933. And in March 1942, the President, by executive order, combined the office of Commander-in-Chief and the Chief of Naval Operations, and Admiral King assumed those combined duties as Chief of Naval Operations. On December 17, 1944, he was advanced to the newly created rank of Fleet Admiral. And whereas Admiral King retired December 45 after having been promoted to the 5-star rank of Fleet Admiral and directing the expansion of the U.S. Navy into the mightiest fleet in the world history. Therefore, be it resolved on this 18th day of September 2011, Lorain County Board of Commissioners honors the dedication of the green space at 113 Hamilton Avenue to honor Admiral Ernest Joseph King and his many years of service to his country. The Board of Lorain County Commissioners, Ted Kalo, Lori Kokoski, and Tom Williams. Thank you very much.
As we conclude here today, we're going to invite the Admiral King Marching Band to play along yes, thank you, Lorain High Marching Band. I'm giving him more and more credit. While we raise the pennants that spell out King. Chief? And this is Chief Adam Bowie, U.S. Navy. We'll now have a rifle salute to departed comrades with the Honor Guard from DAV Chapter 20 and taps from the Lorain Fire Department, and that will conclude our program. We hope that you can join everyone at the new elementary school, Admiral King Elementary School, for the presentations and ceremony there. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you. Port arm. Ready? Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Present arm. Order, hoot! Order, ho! Hooray, back!
Thank you again.
This has been a production of Lorain City Schools TV 20 WLCS.
To purchase a high-quality copy of the program you just viewed, please call Lorain City Schools Television at 282-8400.
Freedom to think for yourself.
To disagree with the government.
Freedom to be equal.
To be different.
Freedom to raise a family.
To marry the man I love.
The freedom to worship the God of my choice.
To live with dignity.
The freedom to be me.
To be whatever I want to be.
Defending freedom for over 200 years.